The Namib Desert spans more than 81,000 square kilometers along Africa's western coast, connecting the countries of Angola, Namibia, and South Africa.
In the local Nama language, the word Namib means an area where there is nothing.
It's one of the most remote and inhospitable places on the continent. It has a very low annual rainfall and extreme temperatures that can reach as high as 45 degrees Celsius in the day and fall well below freezing at night.
160 kilometers from the Atlantic Ocean, a sliver of hyper-arid grassland that borders the desert is mysteriously dotted with millions of unusual circles.
Best viewed from above, these strange, oddly symmetrical and evenly spaced circles are a hotly debated mystery among botanists, biologists, and ecologists alike.
The Himba people of Namibia believe them to be the footprints of Makuru, the supreme creator.
These rust-colored spots can range from 1.5 meters in diameter in the central Namib Desert, while in the northwestern region, they can grow up to an enormous 25 meters across.
Their uniformity in both shape and spacing makes them look almost man-made, like the work of a gardener gone wild. However, the area is almost completely uninhabited, except for a few small settlements and pastoral groups. So what are they?
Because they look quite similar to fairy rings, an arc of mushroom growth often found in forests and grasslands, researchers have dubbed this phenomenon fairy circles.
Fairy circles are barren spots of land surrounded by tufts of healthy grass that grow across a landscape, creating a periodic, evenly spaced, dotted growth pattern. Fairy circles develop, grow, and die, as all plant life will, depending on condition and environmental circumstances. Through long-term tracking of their development and using mathematical calculation, experts believe they have an estimated lifespan of 41 years.
Researchers have observed that some fairy circles could be 75 years old. It's even plausible that they've been around for centuries. So what is creating them?
One hypothesis stems from the notion that decaying plants inhibit the future growth of plant life, resulting in a particular pattern of barren land. Is it possible a plant could be so toxic that it would leave scars on the landscape long after it's gone? If so, the fairy circles, could they be those scars?
The Euphorbia damarana, also known as the Damara milkbush, is thought to be one of the most toxic plants in Namibia.
Euphorbia damarana grows up to 3 meters tall and between 3 and 5 meters wide. Gray-green in color, this succulent shrub contains a milky latex that is not only toxic, but capable of killing animals and humans. The Namibian fairy circles have puzzled scientists for decades. Could a deadly toxic plant be the evidence they were missing?
Researchers found that the residual latex in the soil where this plant and its cousin, Euphorbia gumifera, died, resulted in faster water infiltration rates. This leaves the soil unable to hold water at the surface.
Fairy circles appear similarly hydrophobic, with the top 20 centimeters of earth unable to hold water, precisely where the grasses with shallow roots would need it.
These researchers even believe they can predict the size of future fairy circles based on the relative size of these toxic plants.
Researchers compared aerial imagery taken over a period of 50 years to prove the euphorbia plants were replaced with fairy circles when they died.
However, a new research team returned to the original area of study, and using photographs, drone imagery, and historic satellite images, they were able to prove that new growth had in fact returned to many of the locations where these plants had died. So, if not toxic plants, what else could be the cause?
Some researchers believe that these circular patterns could be the handiwork of insects. And not just any insects, the engineers of the insect world, termites.
The continent of Africa has the richest diversity of termites on the planet, with over 1,000 species on record. These subterranean insects live in colonies ranging in size from a few hundred individuals to societies of several million. And their mounds can measure up to 9 meters high and 7 meters wide.
Termites are integral to the fertility of the world's arid grasslands, and their colonies can even directly influence landscapes.
Savannas with a significant number of termite mounds are more likely to survive with much less rainfall than those without termites.
Termites clear out vegetation, allowing rainfall to filter deeper into the ground to hydrate a colony for the entire year. As a result, these insect-rich grasslands offer much-needed lifelines to local plant and animal life by creating areas of comparative biological abundance in their immediate vicinity.
These industrious insects have been known to create patterns in a landscape. Perhaps termites are eating the roots of the grasses and systematically killing them. Could this be what's creating these circular designs?
However, termite mounds tend to result in the mirror image of fairy circles. Where fairy circles are defined by the absence of growth surrounded by vegetation, a termite mound tends to feature an island of growth surrounded by dry land.
While there are a few species of termites living in the area of the circles, there doesn't appear to be a sufficient food source for the volume of termites that would be necessary to create patterns on such a large scale.
In 2014, near-identical fairy circles were discovered over 10,000 kilometers away in the outback of Australia.
Research teams converged on the area and dug holes inside the fairy circles to assess the presence and influence of Australian termites on these patterns.
And there's no sign of termite herbivory.
Ultimately, their findings did not show a relationship between the termites and the patterns.
By comparing aerial footage of vegetation gaps created by termites, researchers found that the termite patterns were much less organized and smaller than the circles. So clearly insect activity is not producing the fairy circles. So what is causing this puzzling phenomenon?
Annual rainfall across the Namib Desert ranges from less than 2 millimeters to 200 millimeters. But within this specific strip of dotted grassland, the maximum rainfall is 120 millimeters.
With the incredible heat of the Namib Desert, water loss happens very quickly due to absorption, evaporation, and transpiration.
New research suggests that when under stress, due to drought, the grasslands have to reorganize themselves.
If this strip of the Namib received a few millimeters more of rainfall, the grasslands would show uniform growth, like the hardier grasslands to the west. So why are the grasses dying off in this pattern?
Immediately after the rains, grass will grow in all areas, filling in the circles. But researchers noticed that within the following 20 days, young grasses at the center will die.
The older, more mature grass appears to pull water away from the center towards the edges, creating a vacuum effect that can exist over great distances.
The grasses themselves are engineering the environment to their benefit. They are maximizing the rainfall through the creation of these fairy circles, and the result is this beautiful dotted landscape. If proven to be true, it's a stunning story of survival under the harshest of circumstances.
In the end, the theories behind the fairy circles are still up for debate, and greater research is required in the grasslands of the Namib Desert to determine their ultimate origin. Until then, they remain an awe-inspiring landscape to behold.